Okay. Okay, welcome back to the Curious Entrepreneurs podcast. You're here with me, Alex Hughes, and my co-host, Sam Squire. And today we've got a guest here, multi-passionate entrepreneur, which I've now adopted that as a title for myself because I really like it and relate to it. We'll get into why. Inge, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself and mostly around what your current priorities are? Because being a multi-passionate entrepreneur, it might take you 10 minutes to tell us everything you're up to.
Yeah.
But what's your current focus and why you're here?
Well, my current focus is trying to make content creation more accessible for small business owners. So at the moment, my whole business is marketing. It's kind of evolved to get to that point. But I help small businesses understand how to use marketing to absolutely phenomenally grow their businesses. And at the moment, I'm trying, as the sort of Web3 is coming in and everything's getting quicker, people demanding higher quality, I'm trying to find ways to make that creation process a lot more accessible for busy startup, crazy busy entrepreneurs and small businesses. So I'm working with a couple of people to be able to bring that to light, and just generally, I mean, I've got 3 businesses. So trying to also stay sane and spread my time and not have mental breakdowns is kind of what I'm up to.
Nice. Okay, I like that. And it's matched, as you well described, the market as it is.
Yeah.
It's just crazy out there.
Yeah.
So we need that speed of movement. So you're building a machine with your business then to resolve that.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, fascinating. Well, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Sam always kicks things off with the same question. So we'll start there. And we look forward to hearing more about your stories throughout this.
Yeah, so what sparked your curiosity to begin this journey to where you are now?
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, we'll go way back. Yeah. We'll hit it. We'll go
right
way
at the
back.
beginning,
Yeah.
it was necessity. Although I've always been entrepreneurial. When I look back through my life, I was always like selling raffle tickets, putting on talent shows when I was a kid, all that kind of stuff. If we go like back in stages, the marketing was something I studied at uni. It was something that I was sort of sidelining with while I was building other businesses. And the curiosity in that was the accessibility for people who didn't necessarily have the startup capital or the ability or the knowledge. So my current marketing businesses, the curiosity came from just wanting to help people. There was one moment, so before that I was a wedding planner, before that event planner, before that mobile cocktail bar, before that selling cocktails on the street, before that homeless. So it's been a full process. But if we go back, the reason why I'm doing what I do now is because I was sat with I had some really rich wedding planning clients. Like one of them was a oil broker and it was his daughter getting married, and I was helping them decide between duck egg blue cushions and light blue cushions. And I was like, fuck my life. I'm allowed to swear, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
What the fuck am I doing? I've gone from like selling cocktails on the street and being homeless to helping rich people choose between 2 different shades of blue for their wedding cushions that are going to get chucked away afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I decided that enough was enough. I had people in the industry asking me anyway how I was booking clients. So I decided to start helping people and grew what is now the 3 businesses from there. But it all started way, way, way back when as a necessity. I was 17, suddenly found myself homeless on the streets of Cambridge, slept rough a couple nights, but ended up in a young women's hostel. And you get given benefits in that, but after you have to pay for rent, food, all that. I had £4 a week to live on, but the return bus journey to college was £3.20 a day. So I needed to make some money, and bar other ways of making money in that kind of landscape, I thought, I'll sell cocktails on the street. So I used to bottle up shitty Long Island iced teas. I knew a guy who gave me wholesale, like sell and return alcohol, and I started off selling it to the girls in my hostel, and then I used to go out, at night with it in milkshake cartons and sell Long Island iced teas in milkshake cartons with no ice for £15 to people who were obviously really wasted.
Yeah.
But I made loads of money. And then when they'd had the May balls as well, they all queue up. I used to go down the line, even though they get a shit ton of alcohol inside. I was like, do you know what you need? it's a Long Island iced tea.
While you're waiting.
While you're waiting. And your friends need one too.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this.
And then I just grew from there.
There's so much to unpack there. Interesting. So, firstly, I'm so happy you said I did some business, and through doing the business, i.e. the wedding planning and all the other stuff that you've done between the bar piece, which we'll come to in a minute, which I really want to unpack, to building your agencies.
Yeah.
Because I'm a massive believer that you need to have done before you teach.
Yes.
And you need to have that real life experience of your money, your risk, before you start selling that to other people. So how have you found transitioning from doing marketing for your products and services to using other people's budgets and having conversations with them about how to utilize their growth budgets?
Yeah.
How have you found that?
Well, firstly, I 100% agree. It winds me up no end to see people suddenly appearing as like experts and they're teaching. And then I tend to actually have a lot of clients who come through and they're like, oh, someone told it to do. I'm like, there's not one way to do things, and also that's the wrong way.
Yeah.
I love it.
So when I started educate, like it's not just through experience. I did study. I went to uni to do business management and marketing, so I thought that would help the businesses that I already had. It didn't.
Right.
But I was
Surprise!
qualified. I know. Yay.
How's your student loan?
I'm still paying it off.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No, laugh. I've
You got
tried
scammed,
for
though.
years to try and get out of that. And then after that, because, wedding planning, bars and that is seasonal, I was also working in a marketing agency who had absolutely no clue what they were doing. But I didn't start off by just, going for entrepreneurs. The people that started asking me, I was very much like cool, let's do it on a skill swap or something. Because I wanted to build up my confidence. But then also the first few contracts I got was with corporates so that I could experiment with other people's budgets without it having a massive knock-on effect. So I thought that was the most ethical way of going about things. And my tactics and, what I knew worked with the corporates, and so then it's just kind of trickled down to entrepreneurs and grown from there.
Yeah, nice. And you've got that. Yeah, it is. It's, I don't know if you've seen the memes floating around. It's like you ever try and sell something for £500 to a micro business or a small business. It's like, what are you going to do to change my family's life? Whereas you work with a corporate client, it's like 50 grand. Yeah, no worries. Send the invoice now. It's just a lot easier to do business with bigger budgets to start with.
Yeah.
And then you can bring up the profile. Because I know through that process, we met you at Ideas Fest with a lot of other people like-minded. You're all educating every day.
Yeah.
Like you put I follow you on social media. You're always putting out content to educate people every day. So you've made that accessible at every level through that process anyway.
Oh, it's important.
Yeah.
Some people don't have startup budgets, but owning a business changes your life. Absolutely, fundamentally. So I know that some people won't be able to access my consultancy or some of my agencies. So I think it's really important to be able to put out content that is as accessible as possible, because eventually those people, I know it works, so eventually they'll come and be like, actually, can you help me on a more personal level or something?
I tried that thing you said on Reels, and then it worked, and now I want more. It's just as simple as that.
You have to trust yourself and your own knowledge,
So, okay, fine. So let's talk about life changing, because you said there, being a business owner changes your life.
Yes.
Your life a long time ago needed changing.
Yeah.
And, as someone, as you know, my backstory, and I have complete empathy with your situation. Do you mind sharing a little bit about how you found yourself at 17 homeless? Like, what was the build up to that? And
it's just messy.
How did you deal with it?
I mean, there's no non-messy story around that kind of stuff. I won't go into specifics and details, but it's just massive family breakdown. That chaotic family, crazy, like quite self-minded people in the family, and then it just happens really, really quickly. And the thing is, I come from a background I think people associate homelessness with poverty, but my family were quite kind of upper middle class and all that kind of stuff. Like we had all Ferraris in the garage, but equally no food in the fridge. It was that kind of a weird set up. But there was one day where I got in a massive argument with, I just had enough. Like, I'm the eldest, I've got 3 brothers. I was always kind of the protector of my brothers, and one day I'd had enough and I kind of kicked back. All hell, shit hit the fan. And it wasn't the first time shit hit the fan, but that time I was like, no, I'm done. So I literally ran out of the house, no shoes, nothing. And that was the last time I ever went back to, that was the last time I had ever been in the family home. And then I had a boyfriend at the time, his mum, he came to pick me up. In the morning, his mum was like, why are you here? What's happened? And I, you know, covered in bruises and everything. And the police came. Sometimes your life changes in an instant and you can't. I've got multiple examples. I was arrested in South Africa for illegally drug smuggling. I didn't illegally drug smuggle, but sometimes things happen, and you have to be able to find within you to pick yourself. I know I'm waffling now, but
I understand.
It went on from there. So the police got involved, and then I ended up in this because I was under 18. But it's a weird 16 to 18. You're not a kid, but you're not got responsibility of yourself.
The gaps around support for that age group is horrific.
Yeah, I was doing a newspaper interview the other day, and they were like, "Why was it?" I was like, "Because that weird age, there's nothing." And then suddenly, you know, social people were like, "Oh, do you want to stay in? We can put you up for a couple of nights in, I don't know if you're familiar, like Jimmy's shelter." I was like, absolutely no way. Like, as a 71-year-old girl, no. I'd rather stay out all night, suddenly end up in the morning, crash on someone's sofa, and then, so then ended up in this homeless girls' shelter. And then it kind of carried on from there. But to be honest, that from that moment onwards, my life's been safe. So I'm very grateful for it.
Your phrase comes to mind, you know, when pressure is applied, character is revealed. You know, so that kind of sparks you into necessity. I like that, necessity. There's so many great entrepreneurs are born out of necessity. I think it's a wonderful trigger. You've got no choice. You just got to get it done.
Yeah, backs up against the wall.
So did you identify then that entrepreneurial skills were what you were developing? So you started selling the cocktails. You're like, right, I've got to make some money.
Yeah.
Were you thinking, oh, I need to become an entrepreneur? Or,
No.
Were you thinking, I need to make some money? So you know, I'm curious about, I had to ask this to a previous guest, who Dan, who's also a multi-passionate entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I asked the same question to him. When did you realise what you were doing was developing entrepreneurial skills, which is what you needed to survive?
Oh, when I wasn't selling on the street anymore. So I turned 18, got a liquor license, you know.
Yeah.
And then started working in the bar that this guy had like offered me sell and return alcohol. And people over the bar were asking, "Oh, can you come to my party? Can you do all these things?" And the guy who owned the bar wasn't interested. And so I made up a business card. I was like, "Oh, I'll do it." And took it from there. At that moment, I realised, because then it didn't feel like necessity anymore. At that point, I was like, I can do this.
Building an asset.
Go for it. Yeah.
You're building something that's beyond yourself.
Yeah.
Can I jump in and just like you said about that there's moments where like you have to look within yourself, like in that period of time between the transition from obviously being homeless to then selling the cocktails on the streets to then getting that other business in when you're working at the bar. What were you thinking within those moments?
I don't think you think. It's like chaotic. Like that time period is like a year. So it's really, really quickly actually. From within a week of me living in the hostel, I was selling cocktails. Wow. Because it was either, prostitutes above, drug dealers opposite. So I've got to pick one that works. I wasn't ever going to do those kind of things. But you don't think, I think. And and this is why part of my long-term vision is to be able to provide support and entrepreneurial accessibility for young homeless women, because they're actually the most entrepreneurial people I know. But it's just directed in necessity.
Yeah.
The language is wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't allow for the respect for those skills.
Oh yeah, and there's massive. amounts of you use what you've got. And
So how did you compare? How did you compare what you learned at university to the time you were homeless in terms of what value it offers to you? Not to say everyone should try and go and be homeless tomorrow, but
you come out of university not knowing anything in my experience.
Economy,
I mean, I went to Kingston, did a year of psychology. I came back and went to Anglia Ruskin and did 3 years business management marketing, left with a first. I did my dissertation on the viability of buying a cocktail bar because I was going to buy the cocktail bar in town because I already had this thriving business. And I also had a baby in my second year, so I was lecturing, running out, breastfeeding in the car, going back in lecturing, and came out with, I haven't used that degree at all. Like we were saying, 3 Ps of marketing is nothing. Yeah.
That'll get you money in the bank, won't it?
Yeah. No.
So compare that to the time you spent homeless. What did that teach you about becoming a great entrepreneur?
Oh, selling skills. Yeah, you don't learn. And I see it with people I work with, actually, that I employ into the business. They come out with great degrees. They're good at the theory of marketing, but actually applying the psychology of making someone physically want to buy a product is not taught. Has to be learnt. And I'm not saying you don't have to go be homeless or whatever, but go and stand on a street corner and sell something. You'll learn within a couple of days what's going to make people pay attention. It's not 3 Ps of marketing.
No, it's not, is it?
No.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
So around, you said like you learn, you didn't know anything when you came out of university. Is that in a sense of like you've learned stuff and then you begin to go into a new field and realise how much you don't know, or you come out and just I've got all this theory, and I don't know how to apply it? I
think I was frustrated because I'd already started the business, so I was in a different position to the people who I was in my lectures with. I wanted to learn how to grow my business because I already had a business, and that's why I picked that. But I think if I hadn't got a business already, I probably would have come out with a sense of, I'm not like bashing degrees and that. I think that there is quite, like I employ apprentices and I put them through degrees because I think there's an important skill to be learned at university of having to produce work on time, work with a team, work to one goal, and there is a need for that. But personally, it didn't teach me what I wanted it to teach. I had one teacher who was like, we're going to do a branding project. He was like, I bet you can't think of a thing that's not branded. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, good point. I was like, apples. He was like, no, they are. Braben. I was like, no, it's not brand, mate. It's a type.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a seed. And he was like, oh, maybe bananas. Like, no, bananas are branded. And so I just personally, it wasn't right for me, but from a selfish point of view, it gave me the time, some kind of market research ability that I hadn't learned before. And also, again, very selfishly, it gave me grants because I got all the full grants and that, and I used that to invest in my business, which helped me come out of uni with more money than I'd been given.
It's interesting because it's learning, isn't it? I mean, that's what we're there to do. If you want, I'd love to go to university now. I love economics. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Literally obsessed. And if I could spend 3 to 4 years of just engrossed in one rabbit hole, now I've got the capacity to do so. I'm not going there with the expectation that there's going to be a career at the end of it. I'm going there because I want to learn about that thing and I want to go in deep with other people that are learning about the same thing. That's what I'm there for. If that's why I was going, then I'll be all in.
Yeah.
For me, the issue is where we're talking about it like it's a career option. Going to university is not a pathway to a career.
No.
Unless 5% of you.
So you're a
Doctor.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
vocational.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's a case of, it's that blend over, isn't it? So I think clearly you've just alluded to, research, you learn that. So one of our previous guests, David Brockway, who's a wonderful guy, relationship manager at Form the Future, and he talks about the study of history is a phenomenal tool to make you a great researcher.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a really good route into things like accountancy and paralegal work and things like that, because good researchers make good accountants, right? So the study of I'm going to study history to become a good researcher.
I don't think you got that foresight when you're 16.
Of course you don't. No, of course you don't. And I think that's the issue, isn't it? It's the language thing.
Well, yeah, especially when the environment doesn't make you aware of that anyway. So obviously, if you haven't got the consciousness to come to that realization, and why should a 16-year-old be thinking about it?
But the careers, but for the people that are there to support those people should have that awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
And should be making people aware of that.
That's a systemic thing.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to go deep on that. We'll be here
It's
for
a
a
whole
while.
Yeah. But the last question I'll ask is, before we kind of move forward, is what's the greatest lesson you learned from that period of being homeless and having to literally.
As long as you got food in the fridge and petrol in the car, you're good. Everything else, go for it.
Wow.
Like
Perspective.
Yeah. And also, you could die tomorrow. I know this sounds really, really... but there's loads of moments in my life at which it's changed within an instant. And the point is that sometimes you absolutely have no control. So why not fucking go for it today? Because tomorrow might not come, or it might be different. Yeah. And every day I sit and I write in my diary, if I was going to die today, what would I have been happy with? And so every day there's an opportunity to push yourself. I think it also gave me this kind of time. You've got so much time in a day, and so many people don't. Like, I don't always use all the time in a day. Sometimes I'm feeling sick, or sometimes, some people aren't as able-bodied, or they're not as fortunate. But whatever time you can pull out, I'd go for it.
That is mindset.
Perspective.
Yeah.
It's perspective, and again, I just relate so much to this because I remember speaking to Christine, my partner, who couldn't be here today, but we run businesses together, we do everything together. And when I left the corporate, I remember saying to her, I was like, well, a worst case scenario, we'll sleep on someone's couch. Like that's like, if it all goes wrong, it all goes completely wrong, we're going to be fine because we can eat, we've got a lot of friends, we're going to be fine. Like, you need that level of perspective if you're going to start your own business. Because it could go that way.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the reality of the situation.
You're still going to be alive the next day.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like it.
And if you hadn't have gone through what you've gone through, do you think you'd still have that same perspective?
Good question. Yeah, but very, like, again, just me, because it's not, the homelessness was a build up of lots of historical childhood trauma. Yeah. So it's something that I learned from the age of 3 that tomorrow, So I think that's for me personally, yes. But then I guess if I'd had a normal, I don't even know what is normal. Yeah. I don't know. It's very hard to answer.
It's all perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I've had times where I've had a conversation with someone when I was going through counselling, and I had a massive moment in my life that happened, and I defined that moment of who I am now. Yeah. And they said, actually, that's not the case. There was something, like you said, within you already that just got activated. Yeah. And that might have just been that, or there was times in which that was used before that moment, but that moment just almost like ignited that your true self. Yeah.
Activate.
Yeah.
Level up.
Yeah.
But it's really, you're thankful for it. You sound and you feel, and that's why I absolutely we were both just gravitated to you when we met you, because your energy, you're thankful for that time.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say for people that haven't been through it, but looking back, you're like, blimey, where I am now to where I was then. It's I'm so thankful that happened, because it triggered me into activation, and the rest is history, which is lovely.
Yeah. There's studies on there has been studies on if people have to write down what they've gone through and their toughest moments, and then the other question is, would you still go through it? And literally the large percentage of people say yes.
Okay, so let's talk tactical. So I had I'm a bit sneaky, see. I know how much expertise you have, and I know your experiences, and we've got a lot of curious entrepreneurs that we're working with now that are moving into a stage of, they know what their ideas are, they're starting to register their businesses, they're starting to, we've been working a lot with them on kind of culture, on mindset, on their vision, aligning their personal to the business. So a lot of what we're talking about so far has been, right, this personal trauma in my life, this personal transition in my life, I've now transitioned into business. Business is the new vehicle that's going to take me into the future.
Yeah.
They're all like they're putting on the wheels of their vehicles now. They might not have chosen the colour of the car yet, but they're building. So the next stage they're about to move into is launch into market.
Yeah.
So without saying it depends, because every response I ever get from a marketer when it comes to how to grow your business is it depends, and rightfully so, because we're all different. There is no one way. I'm with you on that. In terms of more from a trends point of view, specifically around social media, where do you think the underutilized opportunities are when it comes to social media for startups? And more broadly, what are you excited about when it comes to the utilization of digital marketing for startups at the moment?
Oh, high quality content. That's it. If you can do exactly what you're doing here, set up, make it look fucking amazing, and everyone's going to think, wow, that's really fucking amazing. You know, like you want to get Stephen Bartlett on the podcast. You look at Stephen Bartlett 4 years ago, it was absolutely nothing. And then one person approached him and said, can I do your content? Because you deserve to have a high quality kind of following. And now he's just boomed. Yeah. And all the snippets from his podcast and that. And it is content. Like you have
everyone?
For everyone. And I'm not going to give you an it depends, because you have to capture someone's attention. And the best way to do that is through content. And it's the only way that it is moving forwards. You know, and it's like a really effective way of, it takes a little bit longer. You know, average lead time I say to my customers is about 4 to 6 months from someone seeing a piece of content, someone actually spending money with you. But the higher kind of, and really put effort and energy into it, instead of it just being a secondary thought. 80% marketing should be about 80% of your business activities. And so you could, I mean, one of the girls I really admire is, she's called Lucy Hitchcock. She has this business called Partner in Wine. It's just a fucking thermos with a brand like logo on it. But she got it into Selfridges, she got it into Liberty, and all this through 6 months of really focused, high quality content creation. And there's just so many possible opportunities. You just need to have a little bit of a creative head on you and not think of it as an afterthought.
So you've got to make it a focus.
100%.
So, okay, interesting. I'm glad you said that. 'Cause I completely agree on the inbound stuff. I think if you pair that with outbound work, so earlier on we talked about sales. Yeah. You know, great saying. I can't remember the guy who said it. I just think it's funny. Business without sales is just ego masturbation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you have fantastic marketing, you know, fantastic content, but, you know, I'm a cash flow guy. Like, you know, I'm a big entrepreneur first and foremost. I need to know that cash is coming in. Yeah. So from an outbound, I think paired with outbound activity. So, for instance, I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn's my platform. Like, that's my bag. I love it. And I obsess over it, don't I? It's really interesting because, you know, I learned how to sell through, you know, one of my first businesses was a commercial cleaning company, right? So I had to go and, you know, literally I would go out and physically knock on doors, you know, down these business estates and whatever else. I make sure I do it when it's raining, just so they feel sorry for me, let me in the door. You know, you'd find all these like different ways of doing things. Then I found LinkedIn. I was like, wow, now I can see who's looking at my profile. I can see, I can like follow people around, and they get notifications when I follow them, and they get notifications when I look at their profile. And knowing all of that, pair in with the content piece. Yeah. If you've got that proactiveness about outreach, because it's the same, I don't doubt the same with Instagram and TikTok and the other platforms, you still need to outreach. Like Selfridges, they didn't just ring her up and go, oh, you know, I saw you on TikTok. There must have been an exchange, a sales conversation in there as well. So like, how do we, because I think it's quite dangerous to expect to just, you know, quality website, quality content, and it's all just going to come to you. Fair. It might do, and it probably will over time. But I just want to know that I've got some sales coming in month one. Like, yes. Like, does that make sense? Like,
oh yeah.
What are your thoughts around that? Because I think
it is. But if you ask me as a marketeer, what's one thing that people need to be doing?
No,
high
go.
quality
Yeah,
content.
of course, yeah.
But
how important is layering that on with sales?
oh God, so important. I work with influencers who can't sell for shit.
Yeah, all right.
And their content looks really, really good. But then equally, I work with small business owners who have got great quality content, maybe like 100 followers, and they're absolutely killing it.
Really?
Yeah, because it does. It's important. If you're growing a business, you have to hook people in, but then you do, of course, have to make the sale.
Grab it.
There's that thing actually around having 100 real quality followers is worth more than having 1,000 or 10,000.
Well, that's why I always say I literally don't want hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah.
It would drive me nuts.
That's what I say
I'm happy
to
with
people.
just like a few.
Yeah.
It would drive me nuts. I don't look at likes. Don't care about it. All I care about is my balance sheet and my P&L.
Yeah.
That's what I care about.
But you have to think about your followers as real people.
Yeah,
and I think that's what a lot of people forget. Like you can attract in, and if you're marketing, focus on the content to attract them in. But I like to think about it like a theatre. Like you're on the stage and you have, I don't know, it might be 100, it might be 5,000, it might be 1 million people watching you. If they're not paying attention to you, you're not growing a business. So you have to find ways after you've attracted them in of engaging them in what you're doing, making sure that they're constantly paying attention. And a lot of that does come from content in various different levels of educational, entertainment, inspirational. But you do have to also, and I say this to my clients, you have to go around your theatre, tapping them on the shoulder, reminding you that you've got something to sell. And a lot of people, again, will forget that. But then it's all the wearing all hats type thing, isn't it?
The many hats.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Can I jump in?
Go.
When you were speaking about that, suddenly this question came in my head. So with the knowledge you know now around marketing, what would you say to your 17-year-old self selling cocktails?
Oh, good question. Do you know what? I know this is going to sound really egotistical, but keep doing what you're doing. Because when I went from selling cocktails to starting up the mobile cocktail bar and then building the events and wedding industry, I used to get all my high-paying profile clients by seeing like new follower. Who are you? Let's go see who you are. Let's go see what you're interacting with. And I do dig deep, similar to Alex, about who they are, and then I'll notice that they like dogs. So then, but I also know they're watching my stories. So for a couple of weeks, I'll do some stuff around dogs until they talk to me in the DMs, and then hook them in that way. So, but when I was 17, we were one of the first colleges in the UK to get Facebook, and I'm not that old, but it's moved on really quickly. So social media wasn't massive when I was 17. But it grew, and as it grew, I hooked onto the opportunities with the business. But I guess it's still the same. I probably would have done some more snazzy flaring. I don't know.
I love that. But you're talking about fundamentally through all of this. You're talking about the understanding of humans.
Yeah,
it's a psychology piece.
Yeah.
So you've got two sides of things. There's understanding your audience. So there's some really good advice around understanding your audience, and we'll unpack that in a second. And then you've got the risk taking on just consistently putting content out there. Like just make the commitment. So yes, quality's got to be better, and you always will try and make it better. Hence why I built this studio now.
Yeah.
It started with just me on my phone, making that commitment 2-3 years ago. Actually looked like I was reading the news half the time. I'll have to find it at some point and put the YouTube video out. The first ever video I put out, honestly.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
And I was 10 minutes of me just and I put the script underneath, so I scripted it and everything. It's
I think
awful.
I've actually seen
It's
that.
awful. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. It's traumatic. Now I just don't care. It's about constantly just churning out the content. It's about creating a habit. So audience, let's focus on that, because I think that's some really great advice to be unpacked around understanding your audience, because I think it's I talk about know your Roger. I call it know your Roger. I want to know who they are. I want to look them in the eyes. I want to imagine what they're thinking about and what music they're listening to, and how deep I go on this subject. So what advice would you give to curious entrepreneurs that are looking to kind of build that persona or start to really understand the target market?
You have to have a muse. So lots of people talk, target market, ideal client, avatar, blah, blah. I always say you have to have a single person and even print off a picture of them, like have them stuck right there. So there was a time when I was working with a few corporates and I was doing some social media management, like 4 people to test out stuff, but had, 7 different clients. They all have different people that they want to attract. So one of them in particular was like a estate agent developer in Cambridge, and I was like, I know exactly who their person is. They're going to be a white man who's like 50 to 60, who's got a lot of money, or the female who's picking the house. So I picked out just random Google picture of the type of person, and then when I would read back the content, I read it back in an accent that I think that they so that I could get in the brain of the person reading it, because it's not ever about what you're trying to push, it's about what they're going to pay attention to. And you just have to have a muse. Like another time I wanted to work with some I wanted to do a bit in hospitality. This is when I was experimenting around, so I decided I wanted to work with Michelin chefs, and there was a particular one that I wanted to work with, and so I was like, right, him, I'm going to make all my content around the things that he's irritated by, struggling with. And I used to work with chefs because I did a bit in hospitality, and I know the mindset of a chef is not the same mindset as a developer. No. And so I dropped him a DM. I was like, that steak looks like a fucking piece, like a shoe. You should know better. You're a Michelin chef. And he was like, all right then. But I knew that would get a reaction from a Michelin chef, because that's the kind of thing they like challenge,
right?
Yes.
That is so good.
So you have to really, that's why I say a muse. And then when I did weddings, I had my sister-in-law. I was like, she's the type of person that would drop a bomb on a wedding. So I always say, try and just do one person, have a picture of them on your computer, talk at them, imagine they're across the table from you, because your best content's going to come out when you talk to one person and you attract the people around them. But then again with my clients, I'm like, even better if you can have one person that you'd absolutely love to score as a client, and then once you do, move on to the next person. Who's the next muse? Who's the one up above them?
Nice.
It's like a game.
Like a pathway. Yeah, it's the game of life.
It's the game of life. It's good because it all comes back down to, again, it's understanding your audience, obsessing over them, on a daily basis sometimes, and always adjusting. I think it's hard. I think when you first start out to know where to start with that, but that's why the research part comes in. Talk to people. We talk about 5-yard rule. How important is it to share your ideas with other people?
Oh, yeah.
Like, people have to hold on to it like no one cares, man.
Pitch.
Like,
Mr. Pitch.
we have a badge. So one of we have Sam, bless him. Not this Sam. We have a young guy, Mr. Pitch, we call him. Yeah. He hasn't got a business, but he loves pitching. So when he was doing his work experience here, he'd turn up with business cards. He was like, he got like 3 or 4 business cards. Alex, I got 3. I said, what did you sell him? He said, well, I sold him all sorts of stuff, but I don't have anything. He just loves pitching.
Yeah.
But Ignite, when he came in and we done literally, it's called Pitch Perfect, linking to, obviously we met you through Danny Wallace.
Yeah, so Danny's content we were using.
So I done a bit on around beliefs. Then Alex was like, right, this is how you structure a pitch. Then we done Danny's kindly given us free access to public speaking stuff. And then we done that. Literally the perfect. We didn't even realise how many people be there. It was like a dragon boat thing across the road.
An event over the way.
And we just went and we just got a bit of food and we just like, let's pitch. And then you got like how many leads you get? Like 5 to 10?
You got 5 leads. Like social media marketing also, you probably sell them to you.
Yeah, it's so good.
You want to hire someone, I'll tell you.
So good.
But it's that, you've got to practice that thing. You've got to go pitch it. And you'll find out then, you'll shape that muse. I like that, muse. I'm going to use that. Through speaking to people, because you won't know if you're 18 years old. If I'd asked you at 18, who's your target market?
Oh no, I wouldn't even know what the words mean.
Who's got money? Anyone who's got money, give me your money. You know? So I think it's important that you got to test and learn that, which is marketing.
That news is you 4 months ago.
Yes.
Sometimes it can be
that
you've solved a problem for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
How many times?
That's literally what I'm doing.
You did. You did the same.
What?
And a few of the others did on the Saturday when we were going through target market. I was listening to them all. They're reel it all off. They're this age, they're this, and I was like, you just described yourself.
Yeah.
You just described yourself. You just, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, it can be. What
Yeah.
I'm trying to develop with the homelessness is for me when I was 17.
Amazing. Yeah.
So it's
Same with curious entrepreneurs. That's,
Your pain becomes your purpose, 100%. Like
Yeah.
through your pain, like that gives you your purpose to help your old self when you're in a position to do so. I was thinking when we were just speaking about that type of around the pitching, I think with this generation, probably, so I'm 22, so I'd say people maybe 3 to 4 years younger than me.
I mean, you're getting on to it.
Yeah, no. I feel like, I think that because they're the generations that's grown up with the whole shebang, with like pure kind of Instagram, pure stuff like that.
12 hours a day on the phone.
I think that their problem is going to be not the good content creation, because I've seen it. It's going to be that. It's going to be the pitching. It's going to be having the confidence to go out, like you said, in the street and pitch.
But it's flipping, because all of these young people who know how to content create, they know how important it is. They know, like, just get going, make it look good. They know all the problems of the older generations who can't see past their nose of, I'll just put up a picture. I'll put a fucking
Facebook.
Branding picture of me 3 years ago and write caption, and that'll be good. That'll get me sales.
It doesn't work, does it?
Well, I think that's what we need. We almost need the yin and the yang. We need the old to teach this is the real actionable steps, and it's the young to this is how you really create good content.
Yeah, but they know the problems that are coming, and the older entrepreneurs and business owners don't.
Yeah. Maybe we should create an event of that. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I think inevitably from engaging with businesses as I have for so many for years, they're just outsourced to brilliant agencies like this, quite frankly.
And then
you employ the young people, I think, because it's just a battle that you won't win. And I just don't think some of the older generations, some will, but actually they're better off just outsource it at that point. It's just or employ.
But then it creates opportunities for businesses.
Exactly, and that's good because focus on making your widget. Or whatever you're doing as a business. Actually, if that's, I believe everyone should be a media company. I think every business needs to become a media company in some form. Should have that level of focus. I was having a conversation with someone the other day. They do about 6 million a year, construction firm. Speaking of their leadership team, spent an hour with them, and then at the end of the meeting, I said, "Just question, we haven't spoken about marketing at all today." I'm not there to sell them or anything like that. It was around recruitment. Who does who is focused on marketing within this company? Not one role, not one single role. Janice over, who does the invoicing and payroll, she does the Facebook page. I'm like, what the hell? Because the problem you have is when the market flips, which we're about to go into a very weird period of time in the market. Those that really know this stuff and embrace this are going to fly, and the cream rises to the top because recruitment is a marketing thing. I've got a question. I'd like to finish on a question around that.
I've got a question.
All right, you go, and I'll finish on it. I'll finish the Sorry, you're curious now, aren't you?
Okay, I've got 2 questions.
All right, go on then.
I'm going to do what everyone does. Right, what's the biggest marketing mistake you've ever made?
Being a bit too cocky.
Right, okay.
So that's something that you have to learn. The balance between revealing someone's pain to them so that you can sell them something, because that's what marketing is. It's either pain-driven or possibility-driven. Revealing it to them, but not partnering the solution quick enough. So you end up making someone sit in the problem too long, and then they can't see the solution, or they go somewhere else for the solution because you haven't communicated it well. Right. So that is a bit of cockiness around there, I think, being like, yeah, you've got this massive problem. It's big. Think of all the possibilities that could come, and then not being quick enough. Nice. But that's something you have to learn. Nice.
And then last one would be, if you could only pick one person in the world, who would be your dream client?
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. You're very curious.
That's really hard. Well, do you know what? There are some people that I think need a better platform.
Can I pick one person?
Like Karen Brady.
Oh, yeah. She's a powerhouse.
Absolute. But then when you look at all of her power marketing, shit.
I know.
And it doesn't, it's kind of like, I want to create portfolios for those people, so other people are like, wow, like Stephen Butler, like until he created a massive kind of marketing machine of content and high quality content, no one gave him time of day. And there's loads of people like that, like Chris Kenner as well. He was at Ideas Fest. Again, you look, he's amazing, doing amazing things. You look him up, you're like, this doesn't like add up. So but Karen Brady, amazing.
You could do so much like creative stuff with like the whole.
Just follow her around.
Well, and Karen and her message and how bold and inspirational she is as an individual. You could just extract so much from you. Just hang around with her for a day and you get enough content.
Her Stephen Bartlett story is nuts. Like 23 years old, managing.
The football club.
Portsmouth. Was it Portsmouth? I forgot it was.
No, it was West Ham.
It was nuts.
Well, she was the youngest. She was the youngest chief. She was chief exec at West Ham.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. And she walked into the boardroom and they said, the ladies are.
Yes, I heard it. Yeah.
And she was like, well, no, I'm your boss. I love that. Christine listened to me. So Christine is the CEO of Shift Momentum, my partner, and she's a massive fan of Karen Brady. Maybe we should get her on a pod.
Yeah, another one.
And then we'll pitch her for you.
We'll work together on this.
So I've got a question about more specifically to industry around recruitment. Right now, vacancies through the roof in every industry. I mean, manufacturing alone, 60,000 vacancies. Hospitality, I mean, you've only got to try and go for dinner.
Yeah.
It takes you ages because they can't get the staff. I see that as a marketing issue. I see there's a problem there that they could be resolved because you've got 6 million people in the UK that are currently inactive economically. They need activating.
Yeah.
What could just off the top of your brain, what do you think we could be doing as an industry or as a society and community to activate those younger people into industry that don't want to go work? They're not job seekers.
Yeah.
They're just economically inactive. How could we use content to inspire people to get into work?
Well, they want to know about the lifestyle. Nobody cares about the price really anymore. Like they'll work part-time as long as they can travel half of it. So you need to, again, it is a marketing issue. You need to be talking about, like I said, the pain and the possibilities. Like the possibilities of working here are endless. Like your life, how can we tell people that we are going to enhance their life, that they're not just going to be labouring for us? And that's, again, I think that's a shift in different generations of like this kind of boomer generation that was all very like sitting at desks led. And exactly. And everyone coming through, and with the lockdown, everyone's kind of realising that's not what they want. They want their own personal development before they die. So if you can, hospitality is great for work-life balance, really. When you look at it, like you work evenings, weekends, you make a shit ton of tips. And then you can go and like browse the coffee shops all day if you want to. So I think we need to focus on that. But I think a lot of because I have a lot of recruitment people that I know, they still focus too much on the wage.
Yeah, now my generation are scrolling through TikTok looking at all these amazing places to visit. And that's where they're focusing their energy on. And like, right, how can you, like, literally hit nail on the head, how can you fuel my lifestyle?
How do we enable humans?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and to finish then, what one piece of advice would you give to our young, curious entrepreneurs that are going into this journey, from different backgrounds? Everyone's from different backgrounds, everyone different frame of reference. But what one piece of advice would you offer to a young, curious entrepreneur?
Try to fail. Push yourself so hard that you feel like you're on the edge of failure, and then that's where the growth is.
What way to
power
finish.
Nugget. That's a power
Seriously,
nugget.
been one of my favourites so far.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And so if people were to want to follow your content, where can they follow you?
Oh, Instagram. I'm not good on LinkedIn.
You are. You're Insta. I noticed that.
Yeah.
What's your Insta?
It's Inge.Hunter. So it's said like Minger without the M, but it's spelt Minge without the M.
That is marketing, diamond.
You won't forget it now.
I love that.
Nice.
Brilliant. Bless you. Thank you so much for sharing your time
Thanks
with
for
us.
having me. It's been brilliant.
I think just sharing your story, I think it's just really courageous and being so honest. I think it's just made this episode so amazing. So thank you.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Nice.
if you, oh, that's a blooper.
Cut that.
No, we won't cut. That's a blooper.
Oh man, I was
If you
going
want
to.
to, obviously, if you enjoyed the episode, please give us a subscription on Spotify, Apple Music as well, and leave a review. And obviously, share with a friend if it adds value, because we're hitting the podcast charts ASAP Rocky. See you soon.
Nice. Now I can get up. Thanks, mate.